Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Cluiche with me, Séamus, Brady, your host. For this one, I am joined once again by Matthew Hurley, the Gaelic Statsman. Matthew, we are deep into the club season now. It's not just kicking off. Now it's fully just club championship action. And as we were talking off air, there's so many games, so much, narrative and plots and everything like that to keep up with. How are you finding it so far? How's the fun?
Yeah, I'll go, Séamus. Yeah, thanks for having me on again. Yeah, a lot of games this weekend. Coincidentally, in my own county Cork, there was only 3 games this weekend, so not much. And I was covering a camogie game this weekend, which shows you how quiet it was this weekend. But when you look at the other games across the weekend, like the Waterford final, I watched that. I was hoping that would be some sort of a game at Clubber do brilliant service, obviously, and big shout out to them. But unfortunately, Abbeyside didn't put it up to Ballygunner. Ballygunner were just class above, absolutely unreal. 11 championships in a row. We'll talk about that in a bit. The actual shock came in Kerry, and I probably should have watched that game, Dr. Crokes against Dingle. But ultimately, my stupid decision says I'll watch the Waterford final, and hopefully that'll be a game here. But look, it was a good weekend, obviously, of action. A few shocks here and there. RD St. Mary's got beaten out. There was a few other shocks here and there as well. I think Clonmel Commercials got beaten Tipperary. So, yeah, good load of shocks, good load of scoring in games as well. And the club championship is getting the fever pitch now. We're going into the knockout stages of many championships over the next few weeks. So, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, me too, man. It's gonna get more entertaining, more enjoyable as the season goes on, because eventually championships start to kind of catch up to each other and everything like that. We're entering weird stages where some championships are having 2 weeks off and everything like that, but eventually all will catch up on each other. So we are going to run through, just like we did on last week's episode. I'm starting to establish a bit of a format to these now. We're going to run through the main headlines and then talk about the other club championship results. So starting off, you said it, with what is the main one, and it deserves the most respect. Ballygunner have won their 11th consecutive Waterford senior hurling title. Like, dominance doesn't even do it justice at this stage. Like, they own Waterford hurling. They literally have been an immovable object on top of the mountain for over a decade now. And as you said, in a final where you were almost hoping Abbeyside would do something more than expecting, seeing the players like Michael O'Halloran and Michael Kiley and Connor Prunty and everything like that, you knew that they had talent, but just no chance at all. Ballygunner, too good.
Too good, exactly. Outclassed, outplayed in many ways. And even in the second half, when it was getting into the nitty-gritty of this, Ballygunner took 18 shots. I was taking stats in the game, obviously. 18 shots. They converted 14 in the second half. They are an awesome team, and there's no getting away from it whatsoever. Pádraig Manny scoring 11.5 from play, an exceptional performance from him. Dessie Hutchinson was one player that didn't do well in the Waterford Championship, surprisingly, up until the final. But as soon as the final hit, there was no stopping him. Like you said, exceptional talent. Patrick Fitzgerald as well. Conor Sheehan, I was really impressed with the midfield yesterday. Absolutely superb in and around the middle for them. Kevin Manny carried on his form in the club championship as well. One of the top scorers in play in the whole Waterford senior hurling championship as well. And yeah, it was just, I wouldn't criticise Abbeyside whatsoever. Like, Michael Kiley scored 2 good goals on the day. There were good performances, like from Connor Prunty. He scored a point himself in this game. It's just Ballygunner are too good. And I know that's simplistic to say, but it's just like they are a machine of a team. And yeah, they dominate Waterford hurling. They're going for the 4th Munster championship in a row as well. So good luck to anybody in Munster that would want to beat Ballygunner, because they are a train that's going to keep on going. They are an exceptional team. They have players all over the pitch there as well. You look at Shane O'Sullivan, they're number 5 as well. I see now in Buzz.ie or somebody like that. I think that's his 14th or 15th Waterford senior hurling championship medal. It's just incredible when you think about it as well. Stephen O'Keefe retired from Waterford, but he's still going. Barry Coughlin and around the full back line as well. Peter Hogan, Paddy Levy. And I've said it before. I said it on your podcast before, Séamus. I'll say it again. It is an inter-county team. Every way you look at it, like Paddy Levy around the middle, Peter Hogan, Conor Sheehan, Pádraig Manny, Dessie Hutchinson, Kevin Manny, Mikey Manny, Barry Coughlin, Stephen O'Keefe. They're all inter-county players. And it's almost like, how do you compete with that? Harry Ruddle came on yesterday, and Harry Ruddle scored the winning goal against Ballyhale Shamrocks years ago in the All-Ireland club final. He can't even start for Ballygunner. So it just epitomises how good they are, and they are an exceptional team, no doubt about it. Abbeyside deserve a lot of credit for getting to the final in the first place, for beating Mount Sion by 10 points in the semi-final. Was an exceptional result for them. They, I'm sure, will be proud of their efforts this season. They were just beaten by the way better team on the day, and Ballygunner, they have a dynasty in Waterford. They are hoping now to build on that dynasty that they already have in Munster as well.
Is there any hope of another team beating Ballygunner in the next few years? Because sometimes when you look at dynasties, like I think one team that I could probably compare this to is St. Vincent's in Dublin, say. St. Vincent's were very dominant in Dublin in the early 2010s. And then when like Ger Brennan, Diarmuid Connolly, lads that were in their, early 30s, mid 30s, Michael Savage, Jareth Curley, like these were a lot of very, very good players who've been the backbone of a lot of Vincent's success. When they stepped away, Vincent's did fall away from the title picture, and we haven't seen them anywhere near a Dublin football championship in a while now. And they've been relegated more recently than they've been in a final. So the truth is that it can change very quickly, and it comes and goes in waves. I've no doubt Vincent's will be back. But the truth is with Ballygunner as well, could you see a situation where when the old guard, like your Shane O'Sullivans, your Pádraig Mahoney's, when they step away, is it possible that somebody else might be able to knock them off their perch? Or is their young talent of Patrick Fitzgerald and all these lads just going to carry them on into the next era?
There's plenty of young talent at Ballygunner, so I don't think, to answer your question, I think the dynasty absolutely it is sure to end at some stage. Will it be now? Will it be next? Will it be next season? The season after? I don't think so. I think by the looks of it, and there were hope. I think Mark Fitzgerald and Stephen Bennett were on the Clubber sideline reporters team for the Waterford final, and they said that Abbeyside would actually win this final. I think the both of them actually said it, which was quite interesting to hear. Only Niamh Rocket, actually, who was on my podcast previously, said Ballygunner would win the final, which was quite surprising in many ways. And I didn't expect to hear that from esteemed Waterford talent. But maybe it was just the hope that killed them. They would hope that Abbeyside would put it up to Ballygunner this final. They just didn't put a paw on them. But I don't think it will end in 2 years, maybe 4. Like Pádraig Mahoney is still young enough, he's still about, 32, 33, I'd imagine. Barry Coughlin, Stephen O'Keefe might step away sooner rather than later. Patrick Fitzgerald is still, 21, 22? He's still going to stay around for a number of years. So I think Ballygunner are going to stick around for about maybe 2-3 years, and maybe the 4th year, the wheels of the wagon will start to come off just slightly. Do I think the same thing that happened with Vincent's in Dublin will happen with Ballygunner? No. I don't think Ballygunner will go down. I think there are teams in Waterford that have been dangling in and around the relegation zone for a few years, and even this year as well. Like 4 Water got dragged into it. So you can get dragged into a relegation playoff. It isn't among the realms of possibility. And you look at the likes of players that 4 Water have, Jamie Barner on the middle of the field, for example. Like Clonairs, that flirted with relegation over the last few seasons. Tallow went down this year. There's a few others there in and around skating in thin ice as well. So I think Ballygunner will be safe. There's no doubt. I don't think they'll go down within the next 10 years, a bit like Vincent's did in Dublin. The difference is Vincent's in Dublin was a cutthroat championship. When you look at the teams in Dublin, they are going to get rid. Like you look at, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, no shame, I think it was Whitehall, Cullokill went down last year. And they had Cormac Costello in their team, they had Owen O'Donnell in their team, and they still went down. It's just a tougher championship in Dublin. Whereas Waterford, there are some teams there that you say, okay, they'll go down the next year, they'll go down the next year after that, they'll go down the third year, and they were obvious. So I think Ballygunner will be safe in terms of that. But the dynasty is going to end. Your guess is good as mine, Séamus, when it's exactly going to end. But I think everybody at Waterford will hope that it will end pretty soon, because it's getting a bit boring now seeing Ballygunner every single season collect the Waterford Senior Hurling Championship.
But you're right, it's collected. Yeah, you pencil in the Waterford Hurling final date. That's the date that Ballygunner are going to win the Waterford Hurling Championship again. Ballygunner have been moving towards bigger things. They've used the Waterford Championship as a platform to build towards Munster success and everything like that. And as you said, they also have 4 Munster Hurling Championships in a row. But it's all building towards the All-Ireland. And as you said, Harry Ruddle scored the goal. They won it 3 years ago against Ballyhale Shamrocks in the final. Then they were beaten by Ballyhale the next year. And when Ballyhale got knocked out by O'Loughlin Gales in Kilkenny, everyone turned to Ballygunner, especially when they starched through the Munster Championship and said there's no stopping them. They lost in the semi-final to St. Thomas's. And a lot of people, myself and Luke included, were saying at the time, they'll look back at this as an All-Ireland that they left behind them. Can they make up for that this year? Because that's where this is all leading towards. Ballygunner want to win. Because if you win 11 Waterford hurling championships in a row and 4, potentially 5 Munster hurling championships in a row, and you only got 1 All-Ireland out of it, you definitely did underachieve in terms of the national level.
Definitely so. When you look at some of the teams that are winning the championships this year, have looked in very good form. In Cork, it's anybody's game. Like you could say Sarsfields, you could say Blackrock, you could say Ebo Kelly, that aren't in the All-Ireland Championship because they're a divisional side like East Kerry, so you could count them out. And Cork don't usually do well in the Munster Championship. Limerick do look like the main front runners there, and they haven't won the Limerick Championship in donkey's years. So I think they'll be looking at it thinking, okay, if we win Limerick, so be it. Clare, you've Inagh Kilnamona there, you've Aero Guinness, 2 newbies there that are doing well in Clare. Tip, Thurles Sarsfields might do it in Munster this year. Might. I'm going to say this. Like if they get past Tipperary, that's the main thing. I feel like though Ballyhale Shamrocks will be gunning for Kilkenny this year, because I think they looked at it last year against O'Loughlin Gales and they thought, how on earth did we lose that? With the players that we have in TJ Reid, Owen Cody, Joey Holden, how on earth did we lose that? Adrian Mullen, how on earth did we lose that game to O'Loughlin Gales last year? So I think Ballyhale would want to right those wrongs, definitely. And you look at St. Thomas's, they are even struggling in the Galway Championship this year. They lost their first game, and I don't know how they get on after that, how they get on in their second or third game after that. But the point still stands. Like Ballygunner are the one side, along with, we'll see Ballyhale in the next few weeks, I'm sure, the Kilkenny Championship. But you look at Ballygunner now, they've steamed past Waterford. They're probably going to steal past Munster as well, albeit Thurles Sarsfields might have something to say about that in Tipperary. Like they have to win the All-Ireland. They have to win a second, maybe even a third as well. But when you look at the amount of championships they have dominated, they have to go on and win it as well. And that All-Ireland semi-final last year, like it was almost like a shoe. And I remember the previews for my podcast, your podcast, Aaron's podcast as well. We were all saying Ballygunner are going to beat St. Thomas's. No disrespect to St. Thomas's, but Ballygunner are going to be gunning for this All-Ireland title. And then the unthinkable happens. St. Thomas's win the game on penalties. And you're like, how did that happen? And then St. Thomas's go into the final against O'Loughlin Gales and beat them, obviously. But it was 2 sides in the final where you're like, how did these sides get here? So Ballygunner, they need to get an All-Ireland on the pedestal sooner rather than later. There's no doubt about it. If not 2, they need to get 3. They need to get 3 or pushing towards that anyway, because this team, these dynasty teams only come once in a lifetime. Ballygunner have to grab that opportunity while they can.
Yeah, no, well said. I think last year as well, it felt like it's very much an exception to the norm that, like, out of nowhere we have here a very new final. And that's what I was saying, that the stakes felt higher in that final, that because Thomas has got over the line, it was like you've won a second All-Ireland in the decade of Ballyhale Shamrocks and Ballygunner. And it's felt like Ballygunner and Ballyhale Shamrocks it's been between the two of them for the last 4 or 5 years. But maybe it might be about to change this year. Who knows? We'll see if they get out of the Munster Championship. But right now, I certainly wouldn't back against them. Running through the rest of the headlines, moving on to the second one. Dr. Crokes have won the Kerry County Football Championship for 2024. Very, very interesting game against Dingle. I certainly wasn't expecting Dr. Crokes to win as comfortably as they did. Of course, the goal by, Tony Brosnan was the standout man in this game for Dr. Crokes, winning man of the match. Sensational performance by the Kerry ace. And really, Dr. Crokes made light work out of what is a very talented Dingle side. If you look at the names in that team, the Gainies, Barry Dan O'Sullivan, Tom O'Sullivan, like there's a lot of talent in that Dingle side, and Dr. Crokes made a light work of it and win the Kerry County Championship for the first time in 6 years.
Yeah, I was shocked at this result, to be honest with you, Seamus, because like Dr. Crokes didn't show anything over the last few years to indicate that they would go on a run and win this Kerry Club Championship. And Dingle, to be honest with you, when I see them in the final against Castlehaven and when I see them in the Kerry Championship last year, I thought this might be the start of a new dynasty in Kerry. Clearly not. Like it was a really good performance from Dr. Crokes for the bits I've watched. Keane McMahon getting 1-1 in this game has been a very good player for Kerry in underage grades as well. Evan Looney got his name on the score sheet as well. A quick mention as well to Micheál Burns. He got 4 points, 1 from free, 3 from play. This is a guy that basically stepped away from the Kerry panel. And he was saying, I have nothing to do with this. And he was probably just frustrated with his game time. We know Micheál Burns has some incredible talent. I've said this for so many seasons now, seeing Dr. Crokes in action, seeing Kerry in action as well. Micheál Burns has exceptional talent. And it would go to waste. It was nearly going to waste. But now in this club championship, it's sort of sparked into life again. And it's brilliant to see, in fairness. And it's a great recovery from Micheál, in fairness to him. Tony Brosnan, like, I think is still an all-star nominee, despite how poor Kerry's season was in the All-Ireland Championship this year. And he has carried on that run into this championship as well. I think Dingle will be disappointed with their performance, though. And you could see the frustration at the end with the sending off. It was almost like, this is gone from us. We're going to lash out here. He almost turned into a kind of a fisty fight towards the end as well. And I think Dingle players and the Dingle management would be very, very frustrated in how it all transpired towards the end of it as well. And I'm sure the Dingle players would have wanted another crack at Castlehaven and Munster as well. So I think this might be one that was left behind for Dingle. Well done to Dr. Crokes for winning it. And to be honest with you, Seamus, I think that would be the team to represent Kerry in the Munster Championship as well. So will they do well? Like, Micheál Burns is a good player. Tony Brosnan, you've Fionn Fitzgerald at the full back line. You've Gavin White. There are some good players in Dr. Crokes. Obviously, Keane McMahon and the full forward line as well. So, yeah, Dr. Crokes will do themselves proud and Kerry proud in the Munster Championship, I'd imagine. But Dingle, I think they'll be kicking themselves after this.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. I think they'll be kicking themselves more at the performance as well. It's just like, if you lose in a game where you know you left it all out there on the floor, like, you can't really get too upset about it. And obviously, like, you can get upset about it, but you can't, be absolutely kicking yourself over that, because you know you left it all out there. Whereas Dingle definitely didn't perform to the levels that they're capable of. Dr. Crokes have absolute buckets of talent. There's no question about it. You mentioned the youngster McMahon there with the goal. Gavin White as well. Tony Brosnan. Like, they definitely have layers of talent in this Dr. Crokes side, and they have the history of being the size of the club that they are. They're actually another example when we were talking about clubs that were so successful in the golden generation past, because Tony Brosnan was asked that after by TG Carr. He was asked, what was it that kept you away from the top for so long, for 6 years, which is a long time for Dr. Crokes. And he mentioned how many players had stepped away that were superstars for Dr. Crokes, like Colin Cooper, Owen Brosnan. Like, these players are once in a generation players, especially for a club team, and you're not just going to replace them really quickly. So he made a lot of sense of what he was saying, but the next generation, it seems, for Dr. Crokes are right here in this moment. Brothers 38 says as well here, good hat-trick from Tommy Conroy for the Neil, of course, over in the Mayo Championship. Again, so hard to keep your finger on the pulse with every single club championship from around the country. We will get into all of the results across the weekend. I'm going to read from Matthew's Instagram page. If you don't follow Gaelic Statsman, that's the best way to keep up with all the club championship action from around the corner. All the results are right there. And what we're going to do now is get into the final two headlines and then run through the club championship results. So this one kind of hurt, to be honest, when I seen it. I kind of understand I have something in common with loud football fans from last season. Anyway, Micheál Donoghue named as Galway hurling manager. I think it's safe to say him leaving the Dublin Post and then being announced in the Galway Post just weeks later, that isn't a coincidence, man. He's been named as the Galway senior hurling manager for 2025 and then onwards. 4-year term he was given. This is an interesting appointment because Galway are going back to somebody that they themselves axed.
Yeah, and I think it's a very good appointment for Galway hurling, and we've been saying it on many podcasts before. What Galway need is a guy from inside. It's not rocket science. Galway win trophies when they appoint men inside. Like when you looked at the last few managers on the outside spectrum, Jordan Nan was a disaster, really. John McIntyre wasn't a disaster, but wasn't great either. Then you had two inside managers in Anthony Cunningham and Micheál Donoghue. Kills the breeze, Galway get results. They win the Leinster Championship under Anthony Cunningham initially, then they win the All-Ireland under Micheál Donoghue. And he didn't do too badly in his first term. It was just the last year, I just thought it was just a crazy set of events on the last day. They beat Kilkenny in Nolan Park on the second last day. I thought Galway, they've wrapped it up here. They're in the Leinster, or they're into the All-Ireland series without doubt. Then the game in Parnell Park happened, where Chris Crummy turns into TJ Reid, and Dublin are into the next round of the All-Ireland series, and Galway are out. And ultimately, Galway just pressed the panic button. Micheál Donoghue, goodbye, thank you for your services. After that then, Shane O'Neill, not really great. 2020 was okay, but 2021 was a disaster. And then Henry. And I made this point on the ratings video I did with Dan Casey as well. I asked him, is there a point that Galway got worse, progressively worse, as Henry Sheffield's tenure went on? And Dan said, I don't think it's an argument, Matthew, is it? Because it's the truth, really, is it? And it is. It was the truth. When you look at it, 2 semi-final appearances, and then this year was an absolute disaster from a Galway point of view.
Also, man, first semi-final, they pushed Limerick all the way. Second semi-final, they got completely outclassed. Third year, out in the Leinster Championship. That is a stark decline.
And that probably epitomises the point that it wasn't a good appointment for Henry Shefflin. I ultimately think, yes, it was obvious Micheál Donoghue is going to Galway. I think every Dublin fan knew that as soon as the news was announced. Yeah, he's going to Galway. And I think it's a good appointment for Galway. There was news today actually came out that Eamon O'Shea is going to stick around as coach in the Galway team. Look, it was his first year last year. I think Galway will give him another chance now this year to see what he is capable of, but I think that's a good appointment for Galway hurling to get Micheál Donoghue in, and they will be a threat for Leinster, no doubt about it, next year. And you look at the Leinster Championship overall, you have Offaly with the Christopher Wave there, you have Antrim under Davy, that's going to be quite interesting. You have Dublin, you have Wexford, who did well last year, Kilkenny, who were always strong, and then you have Galway with a good appointment coming into it with Micheál Donoghue now. So I'm telling you, the Leinster Championship is going to be interesting, and there is going to be more arguments now next year on the Leinster Championship increasing the number of teams, because somebody that you wouldn't have expected to go down, I think, might go down this year.
Yeah,
or next year.
Big time. I'm going to look at, like, I remember last year, genuinely was looking over my shoulder at Offaly, being like, this team is good, like, and if they don't stay up in 2025, like, they'll be back very, very soon, and then they might. Look, for Dublin, speaking from a Dublin hurling perspective, the fact that Micheál is gone, like, look, he definitely made some strides forward, but we didn't jump forward. Like the reality is, we got to Croke Park twice, we played in Croke Park twice under Donoghue, and we got absolutely eaten alive on both occasions. First time by Limerick, we conceded 330. Second time by Kilkenny, we conceded 329. So the score lines are adding up there, as well as, like, okay, first time a mistake, twice, second time it happens, it's a bit like, okay, what way are you setting up here? Because you're getting absolutely pulverized the minute you get to the Mecca, the minute you get to the big games. So I think, all in all, Micheál Donoghue was good with Dublin. He was okay. But the reality is, if it was a long-term project, he just didn't stick around long enough for it to happen. And you do wonder now for Dublin who we're going to hire. Like, who is the Dublin hurling manager that's going to be brought in? Are Dublin finally going to go internal? Like, I would look back at the 2013 team and look to a Stephen Heine or a Johnny McCaffrey or someone that was an absolute leader of that team and think, like, can they do a job?
Maybe so. It is a similar group of Dublin players, if not better than the 2013 crop. I don't think that's an unpopular thing to say, because you look at it. You wouldn't agree with that?
I think we haven't had a replacement for Conall Keaney or Liam Rush since they've left. I think Gary Maguire was an all-star goalkeeper. Johnny McCaffrey and Alan McCrabb. Alan McCrabb won an All-Star. Like, we haven't had a hurling All-Star since Danny Sutcliffe in 2013.
Yeah, but then again, you have some exciting players there. Like Conor Burke is a brilliant midfielder. You have Donald Burke, who's one of the best forwards in the country at the moment. Like, you still have some excellent players in Dublin, and Owen O'Donnell, of course, at fullback.
Like, we do, we've good players on paper, but like the reality is with the results, we took in 2013, we took a Leinster title off, and we beat Kilkenny in their own backyard. We drew at them the first time. I remember thinking we'd absolutely blown it by drawing with them. That was our one shot of beating them. Then we went to Nolan Park and beat them. And then we beat Galway. These are the two teams that had been in the All-Ireland final the year previous. And Kilkenny had just done 4 in a row 3 years earlier. Like, this was an unbelievable Kilkenny team. So, like, then the Kilkenny team now hasn't won an All-Ireland in 9 years. Right now, they haven't won it since 2015, and we have been eaten alive by them. So I think, like, while we do have very good players as a team, the 2013 team, in my opinion, was better.
Is that a mentality thing, though, with these Dublin players?
It's an interesting question. It definitely is. Like, I wouldn't say it's an issue with a mentality in terms of like being mentally weak. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that Dublin team, one of our best assets is that we do fight to the end, and like we did even when we got eaten alive. Like, Mark Rogan scored a goal right at the death against Kilkenny. Like, we didn't stop until the game was over. We were just up against a much stronger opponent than we were. But the reality is, I just think we haven't got the marquee forwards that other county teams have. I don't think, like, I genuinely look at it and I go, right, you've got Donald Burke there, who would get into most county teams around the country. Apart from him, like, who else? Like, if you were to combine Dublin's team with Clare's team, with Limerick's team, with Cork's team, I know that it starts off relatively okay for Dublin in those combined 15s that you're like, yeah, Owen O'Donnell goes in for me, Conor Burke goes in for me, players like that. And you get further up the pitch, and the minute you get to the half forward line, you might be able to put Donald Burke in, but then you're putting nobody else in. And I'm just saying that as like, that it's very much, we don't have the clinical forwards that Cork have, that Limerick have. And I feel like that's why when the game comes down to the wire like that, like Owen Cody finds a way to score a goal for Kilkenny when it really, really matters. Dublin are very difficult to beat. They're very difficult to score against most of the time, obviously with the exceptions of the Limerick game and the Kilkenny game this season. But we rarely put a beating on teams. Like, we rarely batter somebody. That's why the Antrim result this season, I very much was like, wow, we haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, you haven't done that in a long time. We have been very consistent for the last 5 years. We beat who we're supposed to beat, and we don't beat who we're not supposed to beat. Our seasons have been very predictable. Galway this season was the first time that I've been like, wow, I'm really impressed with that win. And then Galway stumped the place out. So maybe that hasn't really aged that well.
But the thing is as well, and I discussed this with Dan as well, if Dublin had a bit more belief about them in the All-Ireland quarter-final, they could have beat Cork.
But if we had a went for it, quote unquote, if we had it opened up and went for it, Cork could have tore us apart.
I don't know. Like, there were rumours about the ball going around the camp for Cork, and if that is true, if the rumours are true, maybe Dublin might be kicking themselves looking back at that game. I feel like, but I do feel like with the players that you do have, you need a lot more belief. And I suggested one to you. I don't know, did you hear Eddie Brennan, All-Ireland champion with Kilkenny?
Eddie Brennan, sign me up.
Yeah, he's proved it before with Cluiche. He gives these players, under-par players, a lot of confidence. It's not like a situation where you have, let's say, Henry Shefflin or the documentary you mentioned with Thierry Henry with Monaco. Why can't you do what I do? Eddie Brennan's not that type of manager. He's a manager that gets the best out of these players. He got the best out of Paddy Purcell, out of Aaron Dunphy, out of Willie Dunphy, while he was Laois coach. Jack Kelly as well, excellent player under Eddie Brennan for Laois. I feel like he could raise them Dublin players up to a whole nother level. I feel like, I think he can. And I think he is the right man to take on the Dublin job. If you go for someone like Stephen Heine and Johnny McCaffrey, though, I feel like it'll be probably the same level of performances. Remember once under Pat Gilroy, okay, you did well against Kilkenny, but you're not gonna beat nearly anybody in the Leinster Championship after that. So I think the obvious appointment for Dublin hurling right now is Eddie Brennan.
I think the obvious appointment when we're looking at it is I don't want. This is genuinely what I don't want as a Dublin fan. I don't want another season where we persist with the same group that has given us the same results every season. I'm not saying axe them. I'm not saying, drop a load of players from the squad. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying bring in a manager like an Eddie Brennan who will commit, hopefully, to a long-term project where we completely overhaul the team for the future. We completely go, do you know what? Let's bring in all these lads who are going to be in the team for the next 10 years. And let's build a team around this crop of lads. Because the reality is, you do what you always do, you get what you always got. And we've been shown that there's a very hard ceiling to the team that we currently have. We haven't been able to get past the Leinster final. We haven't been able to win it. And we haven't been able to get past the All-Ireland quarterfinal either. Year on year on year on year. We haven't made it to an All-Ireland semi-final for 11 years now. So to say, you know what, we just need to tweak a couple of things. Cork were bad that day and they still won. So we need to look at ourselves and go, do you know what, we need to up our levels. Best way to do it, in my opinion, as you said, is to get someone in like an Eddie Brennan who does give off that he's a long-term project type of manager. And maybe then he'll be able to build us up and overhaul the squad for the future for 5-6 years down the line, where Dublin might be able to push. A lot of people will think, oh, that's ridiculous that Dublin would even think about going for All-Irelands. Look how quickly it turned up with Limerick. Look how quickly Limerick went from being not able to get anywhere near an All-Ireland to being the absolute unstoppable force that went on to win 4 in a row. It's not inconceivable. And when you look at the football, Dublin were chokers in the 2000s, couldn't get past the semi-final to save our lives. All of a sudden, made a few little tweaks, brought through the players, overhauled the squad for the future. And then in the 2010s, we absolutely dominated that decade. I think we need to take a leaf out of the footballer's book, appoint a manager that is going to overhaul and plan for the future. And I think Eddie Brennan might just be the one. I'm going to give him my vote, but it's an interesting one for sure. And for Donoghue at Galway, I think he's a solid appointment, and I think he will do well there. But last question on that. Last question. Do you think Galway will absolutely regret having let him go in the first place? And do you think if Galway had kept Micheál Donoghue, that they might have won another All-Ireland? Because now Joe Canning's gone. David Burke is 4 years older. So is Garrod McInerney, so is Daithí Burke.
So is Conor Whelan.
Yeah.
You have to answer both your questions. Both answers, yes. I think.
When do you think they would have won the All-Ireland?
I think they would have won the All-Ireland, yeah. With Micheál Donoghue stayed on. I think so. Yeah, I genuinely think so, because you look at the players that they had in the likes of Joe Canning, Conor Whelan, like they were very close to Limerick in the 2020 semi-final under Shane O'Neill, and then there was this attitude in the 2021 game against Dublin. And you sent this to me, I remember. Joe Canning goes for a goal inside 6 minutes, and it was almost like we're gonna
1 yard free,
and we're gonna rock up to Croke Park and just hammer the living daylights out of Dublin here.
Yeah,
no, it didn't happen. Dublin didn't go and beat them, and beat them quite comfortably as well, may I add. And then under Henry, it didn't work from a Galway point of view. And yeah, I think Micheál Donoghue would have won the All-Ireland. I think it was harsh the way Galway let him go after an off-season, let's be honest. Every side is entitled to it. Like Cork had a few off-seasons, I'm sure. But this is an example. Like, when you look at it, Cork failed to get out of Munster in 2023. but they stuck with the Pat Roy project. They stuck with the Pat Roy project as well. The players still stuck with it after 2 games. And look at Cork now. Cork are one of the favourites for the All-Ireland next season. And all because they had a bit of belief in the manager and what he was building. Like, we all don't know who could have built something with Galway as well for the next few seasons after that season in 2019. So I think it was a massively bad decision for Galway to let him go, and they have gone backwards now. Joe's not there. David Burke is older, as you mentioned. Conor Whelan, yes, he's still young enough, in fairness, but still doesn't have the legs that he had in let's say 2019, 2020. The brilliant piece of skill and things like that. So yeah, I think Galway would have regretted that decision from back then.
Yeah, no, I agree. I personally think, looking back, it was a bit of a catastrophic decision to get rid of Donoghue. And as you said, they hit the panic button. No question about it. They hit the panic button. And I think they definitely will look back and go, we massively fumbled there. Because when you look at, the main one for me is when you look at the All-Ireland semi-final, I think Micheál Donoghue might have been able to keep Joe Canning in the squad for a couple more years, and they ended up keeping him for. And I would look at that and go, do you know what? I think personally, if you look at it, Micheál might have been able to say, you know what, Joe, you can come on for the last 20 minutes of the game. And then you picture that in the 2022 semi-final when Concannon hit the net. And all of a sudden, the whole of Croke Park was like, wow, Galway might actually have Limerick here. And it wasn't meant to be at all. And it's gone downhill ever since then. I think Donoghue would have done better. He's in 4-year term. In my opinion, he's in to steady the ship. Right, the last headline we're going to talk about here, I'm going to get your opinions on this because it is absolutely sensational that this is taking place. There are 34 Irish girls listed to play in the AFLW in 2024/2025. The season kicked off last weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Aisling Sheridan is the one with a bit of an asterisk beside. She's still on the roster, but she's taking a break. So in the Adelaide Crows, there's Niamh Kelly from Mayo and Amy Boyle-Carr from Donegal. At the Brisbane Lions, the current champions, you have Orla O'Dwyer from Tipperary and Jennifer Dunn from Dublin. Both won it last season with the Lions. At Carlton, you have Owen Fitzpatrick from Laois and Dana Finn from Mayo. At Collingwood, you have Sarah Rowe from Mayo and Muireann Atkinson from Monaghan. And if Aisling Sheridan does play again, that's the team she is registered to. She's from Cavan. Fremantle, you have 5 Irish players. Orla Lally from Meath, Anya Tighe from Leitrim, Amy Mulholland from Armagh, Joanne Craig from Roscommon, and Aisling McCarthy from Tipperary. Geelong Cats, you have 4 Irish players. Rachel Kearns from Mayo, Anna Rose Kennedy from Tipperary, Aisling Maloney from Tipperary, and Kate Kenny from Offaly. The Gold Coast Suns, you have 4 Irish players. Niamh McLaughlin from Donegal, Clara Fitzpatrick from Down, Cara McCrossan from Tyrone, and Lauren McConville from Armagh. At Hawthorn, you have 2 Irish players, Eileen Gilroy from Mayo and Anya McDonough from Galway. At Melbourne, 2 Irish players again, Sinead Goldrick from Dublin and Blahin Mackin from Armagh. North Melbourne, 4 Irish players, Erica O'Shea from Cork, Niamh Martin from Tipperary, Blahin Bogue from Fermanagh, and Vicky Wall from Meath. St Kilda, you have 1, Grace Kelly from Mayo. Sydney Swans, you have 3, Paris McCarthy and Julie O'Sullivan, both from Kerry, and Tanya Kennedy from Donegal. And the GWS Giants, you have Ailish O'Dowd from Leitrim, of course. That is sensational, especially when you consider that just a few years ago, there was only 2 Irish girls in the AFLW, Breach Stack and Cora Staunton, that was in 2021. So that's only 3 years ago. And now there's 34. It's sensational. And all the girls seem to be smashing it down there in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. So, and well does every single one of them for making it down there, no doubt about it. Like Kate Kenny, I've seen her for DCU in the O'Connor Cup this year and last year as well. Exceptionally talented footballer and definitely deserves her shot in going down. Blahin Bogue, we've seen her for so many years for Fermanagh as well. Glad she's getting the chance as well. Eric O'Shea, absolutely excellent player, obviously from Cork, and delighted for her as well. Vicky Wall doing well as well. Like, there's a lot of players there that you're like, wow. And then it's unfortunate for the girls with the ACL injuries in Owen Fitzpatrick and Amy Mackin. Hopefully they'll get better sooner rather than later. Obviously Amy Mackin, outstanding player for both Armagh and for Melbourne. Rowan Fitzpatrick, unfortunately, what happened to her as well. So, yeah, hopefully they'll be back sooner rather than later. And it's brilliant to see so many Irish talented players going down. I think the main losers out of this, though, Séamus, and this is the elephant in the room, is probably the LGFA themselves, the Ladies Football Association, because all these players going down to Australia, obviously it's a brilliant opportunity for them. But as soon as they get back, then maybe they're a bit tired in the intercounty season, and we wouldn't see much of them then. You look at Amy Mackin, obviously got that injury halfway through the season for Armagh this year. So maybe the AFLW maybe played a part in that. So yeah, it's a disadvantage for I suppose the Ladies Football Association that we won't see the best of these girls once they come back. But it's brilliant for them, obviously, going down, living their dreams, playing for in Australian rules football as well. And hopefully we'll see a few girls in the final of the AFLW. That'd be brilliant to see. Obviously, Orla Dwyer's won a few over the last few seasons. I think Sinead Goldrick has appeared in a few finals. Hopefully we'll see some new girls, new Irish girls go into the final this year too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember last season when Jennifer Dunn won the Premiership literally a few months after winning the All-Ireland Championship with Dublin. It was genuinely like playing a video game and just skipping to the final level and completing the game straight away. It was just absolutely bizarre to see her already win a Premiership. Absolutely sensational. She became the first player ever to win both the All-Ireland Championship and the AFLW Premiership in the same season. So what I'm going to do now is run through all of the results. Courtesy of your good self, Matthew, this is the roundup of all of the results, starting with Friday. So in the Limerick Senior Hurling Championship, it was Doon 115, Napirsig 17 points. Big win there for Doon. Kildemo Panaskenry 20 points. Drummond Athlaka 114. Kilmallock 417. Ahan 118. That was actually on Thursday. The Armagh Senior Football Championship, Clon Aaron 1-8. Madden 1-7. Mahari 2-11. St. Peter's Lurgan 1-7. In the Dublin Senior Hurling Championship, Whitehawk Columkill drew with St. Vincent's 1-16 each. In the Roscommon Senior Football Championship, Roscommon Gales 2-19, Tulsk 9 points. Big win there for the Gales. Michael Glavies 3-6, St. Flahawks 1-9. St. Bridget's 5-15, Western Gales 6 points. So the finalists from last season off to a barn-burning start. Oran 4-16, Castlereagh St. Kevin 6 points. In the Derry Football Championship, Lavey beat Ballinascreen 110 to 9 points. In the Down Football Championship, Leitrim Fontenoys beat RGU Downpatrick by a point, 15 points to 3-5 after extra time. Glenjohn Martins beat St. Malachy's 2-7 to 9 points. In the Offaly Hurling Championship, Sear Kieran beat St. Ryan, 120 to 117. In the Cork College Divisional Final, Muskerry beat Duhallow by a point, 313 to 215. In the Cavan Senior Football Championship, Ballyhaise beat Castlerahan 117 to 3-9. That was on Thursday as well. Kildare Football Championship saw a 7-point win for Maynooth over Clane, 212 to 11 points. In the Fermanagh Senior Football Championship, Enniskillen Gales beat Timor Shamrocks 2-6 to 9 points. The Antrim Senior Football Championship, St. Mary's beat Nave Argent. I've definitely butchered that. St. Mary's 114, Nave Argent 112. Carlow Football Championship, Palatine beat Era Og 19 to 11 points. So there's the favourites beaten there in Era Og. 2-7 to Ballina, 9 points to Upper Church Drumbain in the Tipperary Football Championship. And in the Longford Football Championship, Emmett Oaks, Kilo, my favourites to win Longford, absolutely demolished Keena, 419 to 3 points. I'm going to take a little break, and that was only Friday's results, mate. How on earth do you keep up with all that?
Jesus, I don't know half the time. And then a few others commentate, you missed an Antrim results and you missed the Galway results here or there. Because, it's so hard to keep up with them. To be fair, some county boards are very good. Like Limerick come up with the results in each and every evening, which is brilliant to see. Cork, I live there, obviously, and from there. So, obviously, I will do some bits of the Cork Championship and do some media work there as well. The Dublin are very good, to be fair. Like, they put up the results straight away on Twitter as well. Armagh are good enough as well. Roscommon, there's some good coverage there. What I find really bad coverage, actually, and yes, there's Watty Graham's Glen, Shlotley, and there's some excellent sides there, but the Derry Football Championship coverage is terrible. Like Watty Graham's Glen's result on Sunday, I literally had to go through, I don't know how many tweets to actually find, this game is going through X space or whatever, this Watty Graham's Glen game. Just show us the score. Please just show us the score at full time. And eventually I got it in the end, but it took a while to get it, I have to say. Down are very good, to be fair. Offaly are decent. Cavan are decent. Like, there are some decent counties, but I find probably the worst counties in terms of coverage are probably Antrim and Derry. I don't know, is it the same for everybody else? But those counties are like, wow, you really want to make it difficult for us for finding the results. But look at the results on Friday, like Doon in Limerick. I think they'll win the Limerick Hurling Championship. Doon, they look serious at the moment. Not only did they beat the Peership, but they also beat Patrick's well in this championship as well. So they are a serious team. And as well as that, they brought the Peership to a penalty shootout in the semi-final last year. They have Darrell Donovan, who's now fully fit. They have Adam English there. They have Pat Ryan, who played no part for Limerick in their team this season. I think Doon are going to win the Limerick Hurling Championship, and they've proven so far they are a serious team to be looked at.
Certainly. Now what I'm going to do is run through the rest of the results, and I'm going to stop for a little interval as well from Saturday to Sunday, because my goodness gracious, but it is important to give out the credit for everybody for their victory. Starting with the Galway Football Championship, Mount Ballymoylock 2-7, Carlistran 1-3, Moycullen 4-11, Monivea Abbey 1-5, Corofin 2-9, Clare Galway 9 points, Killannon 1-14, Barna 1-8. The Mayo Football Championship, Castlebar Mitchells 2-7, Garrymore 13 points, so a draw there. Westport 3-18, Mayo Gales 2-11, Ballina Stephenites 3-12, Bala 1-8, Iamore 12 points, Kilmena 11 points, Knockmore 13 points, Clare Morris 8 points. Limerick Hurling Championship, Patrick's Well 2-28, Mungret St. Paul's 1-12, Monaleen 2-25, Adair 3-15, Ballybrown 25 points, South Liberties 1-20. Armagh Football, Armagh Harps 1-19, St. Patrick's Drummondtee 1-12, Mullabon 2-13, Ballymacnab 2-6. Dublin Senior Hurling Championship, Coola 128, Bridget's 13 points, massive win there for Coola. Kilmacud Crokes 19 points, Lucan Sarsfields 116, so a draw there. Ballybowden St. Enda's 224, St. Jude's 115. Roscommon Senior Football Championship, Porrick Pierce's 113, Boyle 110, Clonagale 419, St. Dominic's 112. Derry Football Championship, Slough 16 points, Kilray 110, Sean O'Leary's Newbridge 112, O'Donovan Rossa 11 points. The Loop 111, Steelstown Bryan Oaks 11 points. Cork PSHC, Kanturk
Premier Senior Hurling Championship.
Premier Senior Hurling Championship, thank you. Kanturk 121, Middleton 121, so a draw game there. Down Football, Burren 15 points, Mayobridge 9, Loughlin Island 112, Saul 8 points. Offaly Hurling, Coolderry 21 points, Tullamore 114, Leitrim Football, Mohill 313, Anna Duff 48, Willen 116, Gortlaraha 1-9, Ballinamore, Sean O'Heslin's 314, Glencar Manor 108, St. Mary's, Kiltahart 1-9, Leitrim 9 points, Fianna, St. Callans 5-11, Drumahair 1-6, Cavan Senior Football Championship, Gowna 112, Cavan Gales 112, Ramore United 215, Killygarry 4-7, Crosserlock 215, Ballyba 11 points, Kildare Senior Football Championship, Raheens 7-13, St. Lawrence's 1-8, Johnstown's Bridge 1-8, Carberry 10 points. Tipperary Football, Ardfinnan 110, Grange Mockler 13 points, Kilsheelan Kilcash 212, JK Brackens 12 points. Clare Senior Football Championship, Kilmurray Ibracane 215, Kilmihill 13 points, Era O'Guinness 217, Lissy Casey 1-6. Laois Senior Football Championship, Kileshin 16 points, Emo 1-7, O'Dempsey's 5-16, Rose Nalis 3-12. Fermanagh Football, Belnalloch 6 points, Kilnally 6 points. Antrim Football Championship, Kickham's Cregan 115, Nave Gall 1-4, St. John's 114, Rossa 113. Carlow Football, Rathvilly 112, Clonmore 2-7, Bagenalstown 15 points, Tinrellan 110. Wicklow Senior Football Championship, Kiltegan 118, Baltinglass 212, Tucker 1-9, Tinnahelly 11 points, St. Patrick's 11 points, Blessington 9 points, Longford Football Championship, Mullinocta 212, Carrick Edmond 212, Dromard 216, Longford Slashers 8 points, Clongwish 214, Abbey Lara 12 points, Westmeath Senior Hurling Championship, Clonkill 220, St. Oliver Plunkets 17 points, Down Senior Hurling Championship, Ballygallet 115, Carryduff 112. And would you believe that continues now in the comments? So that was the whole bio taken up. Donegal Senior Hurling Championship final, Bart beats Tanta 316 to 118, and the Meath Senior Hurling Championship, Kilmessan beat Dundee 325 to 115. That's the Saturday. Are there any results that stick out to you out of that?
Jeez, there's a
I'm not
load
sure
to
you
pick
have that
from.
much to pick from.
Yeah, oh my God, like a load. Mike Cullen beating Monavie Abbey in the Galway Championship. Yeah, Mike Cullen, 2 wins out of 2 now in Galway, as far as I know. So very good for them. Billy Moylock recovering after their loss to Salted, not the Cara last and with a win there. So good win for them. In Mayo, look at a few results here. Banla Stephen Ice getting over the line against Ball is a very good result. Castlebar Richards at Westport both winning as well. In Dublin, Coola, like a lot of people are saying Coola would be threats for the Dublin Championship, and one fella said Coola are out of the championship. Feel saying no, Séamus, is Coola out or what's the story?
In the Dublin hurling, definitely not.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah. I don't know who said that anyway. He's talking through his hoop anyway. But we'll move swiftly on. Roscommon, Padre Pierce's good result there. Derry Schlottlead carrying on the form as well. Kanturk and Middleton draw, and that sets up a game of TG Car next week between Middleton and Arizona, actually. So looking forward. Well, I'm at another game actually, but yeah, that should be a good game on TG Car for anybody that wants to watch it. Middleton against Arizona, essentially a knockout game in Cork. So anybody who's tuning into TG Car, do tune into the Cork Hurling Championship for the first time this year. In Down, Burn win comfortably as well. In Leitrim, good result for Bowl, Ballina, Sean and Haitlands as well. Kildare, Tipperary, Clare. Like there's some very expected results more than anything. Mullinock are struggling in Longford, and I've said this on Aaron's channel as well. They drew against Carrigaman as well. That was a bad result for them. But that's all I could take from Saturday's results as well, Séamus. So I'll let you walk away with the final furlong on Sunday.
Is everybody ready? Here we go. We're going to talk here real quick. Gavin O'Reilly's after a couple of comments. Last year's intermediate Connacht champions Castlereagh play last year's senior finalist Boyle this weekend in a tasty preliminary quarter-final. So he says senior Roscommon finalist Boyle. That will be a very interesting game. No question about it. It's so hard. I mean, if you want, you can make a meme out of me listing off all of those teams there. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. I definitely butchered half of the names. So please feel free to let me know which ones I've absolutely made a mess out of. So what we're going to do now is going to dive into Sunday's games. And do remember, guys, if you are in the comments, let me know, as Gavin did there. And Gavin, I really, really appreciate your comments. Good to have you back on the videos. What I would love to see is I'd love to see your highlights of the weekend. What game were you at? I personally was watching my own club, Whitehall Columkill, concede a last-minute goal to Vincent's to draw the game. Absolutely heartbroken. I thought we had the game won, and then we conceded the late goal to make it a draw. So now the Sunday results. The Kerry Club Senior Football Championship Final, Dr. Crokes 115, Dingle 11 points. This is the one we covered in depth. And so too with the Waterford Senior Hurling Championship Final. Ballygunner 228, Abbeyside 210. Wexford Senior Hurling Championship, Naibana 423, Crossabeg, Ballymurn 112, Fern St. Aidan's 319, Outlet the Balla 314, St. Anne's Rathangan 17 points, Glyn Barntown 113, Shelmaliers 319, Oilgate Glenbryan 13 points, Faith Harriers 20 points, Clockbawn 15, St. Martin's 321, Rapparees 17 points. I absolutely am not able for the double barrel names at this point when I've said about 150 club names in the last 5 minutes. Armagh Senior Football, Crossmaglen 14 points, Sarsfields 11, Crossmaglen bouncing back, St. Pat's Cullyhanna 117, Cullaville 2-9, Killeavy 110, Silverbridge 9 points. Derry Football, Dungiven 10 points to 9 against Balahi. Watty Graham's Glen 3-9, Swatcher 112, Galway Football, Salt Hill 114, Navanna 9 points, St. James is 9 points, Dunmore McHale's 1-5, Annadown 115, Milltown 15 points, Tuam Stars 2-9, Octorad 1-6, Mayo Football, Brafey 116, Ballintubber 11 points, Ballahaddereen 110, Belmullet 1-7, Ballyhana 16 points, Charlestown 2-6. In Cork, the Premier Senior Hurling Championship Divisional Final, Immakilly 631, Muskerry 17 points. Down Football, Warren Point 215, Longstone 8 points, Bryansford 18 points, Ballyholland 17 points after extra time. Offaly Hurling, Shinrown 221, Bear 116, Ballinamer 223, Kinetti 9 points. Cavan Football, Lavey 1-9, Lara United 1-7, Mullahoran 210, Kings Court Stars 10 points. The Kildare Football, Moorfield 218, Kilcock 11 points. Sarsfield 217, Confe 210, Clocker in Co 414, Allenwood 19. Louth Football, St. Joseph's 213, St. Fechin's 10 points, Newtown Blues 213, RD St. Mary's 13 points, St. Patrick's 1-5, Dreadnoughts 1-5, Tipperary Football, Lockmore Castellani 1-8, Arravale Rovers 1-6, Mull Rovers 212, Clonmel Commercials 111, Killinall 113, Ballyporeen 9 points, Clare Football, Kildee Start 112, St. Joseph's 111, St. Brecken's 211, Currafin 1-5, St. Joseph's Milltown Malbay 112, Ennis Timon 10 points, Cratloe 2-8, Doonbeg 12 points, Laois Football, St. Joseph's 316, Courtwood 9 points, Port Arlington 213, Clonaslee 6 points. Fermanagh Football, Derry Gunley Harps 112, Devonish 2-9, Erngales Balik 13 points, Aderny 2-3, Antrim Football, Nave Breach 15 points, St. Mary's Ahagallen 110, Nave Séamus 415, Nave Aina 3-7, Law of Darragh 210, Dunloy 1-6, Wicklow Football Championship, Arklow 415, Barrendarragh 7 points, Dunlavin 2-6, Bray Emmets 11 points, Era O Greystones 110, Rathnew 11 points. Longford Football, St. Mary's Grenard 16 points, Mostram 11 points, Cullen Kills 213, Rathcline 8 points. Part 2 of Sunday, Carlow Football, O'Leckland 417, Mount Leinster Rangers 1-2, Down Hurling, Ballycran 222, Breed at 10 points, St. Pat's Portaferry 324, Leitrim Fontenoys 18 points, Monaghan Hurling semi-finals, Inniskeen Grattans 122, Carrickmacross 118, Castleblaney 526, Monaghan Harps 7 points. That might be the biggest win of the weekend. Meath Senior Hurling Championship, Ratoath 425, Killian 12 points. Sligo Senior Hurling Championship, Coolera Strandhill 213, Calgary St. Joseph's 212, Western Gale 17 points, Tirlestran 1-9. That is all the results of the weekend. All on Matthew's page at the Gaelic Statsman. Make sure you give that a follow for all that. Matthew, fair play to you for keeping up with all that. What is of any results on Sunday that stood out to you? Obviously, besides Dr. Crokes and Ballygunner's victories.
Yeah, so obviously Watty Graham's game against Swartra, if I pronounced that correctly, that looked like a close shave of a game. And Watty Graham's only beat Balahi by under 3 points as well. I think it was 2 points that day. So a lot of people were slagging me off saying Shotney will win the Derry Championship, but I don't think Watty Graham's are going well. Looking at the results so far, they might improve as it goes on, but it doesn't seem like they're going well according to the results anyway. St. Patrick's Cullyhanna would have been my picks for the Armagh Championship, and they won by 5 points this weekend, so good result for them. Salton Knocknacara were my picks for Galway as well. Won comfortably this weekend, and they look a serious team with Rob Finnerty there. Tom O'Culhan did well yesterday, live at TG Carr, of course. So yeah, they look like a serious team going through the ranks there as well. Belmullet losing the Ballad of Doreen, and now won 2 games in Mayo, which is quite a feat as well. Clonmel Commercials losing a Tip was quite a surprise, in fairness, in the Tipperary Senior Football Championship. And even in my own county Cork, Emo Kelly scored 6-31 against Muskerry. I think, I know they aren't allowed to go into the Munster Championship, Emo Kelly, because they're a divisional team, but they look serious fettle to win the Cork Championship this year. You have a lot of good players there in the Emo Kelly team, and to score 6 goals and 31 points against Muskerry. And I think they scored something like, I think it was 2:18 at half time off the top of my head, and they kept on going, and it was just relentless at that stage for Emo Kelly. And yeah, they look in serious fettle to go on and win the Cork Hurling Championship this season. Obviously there'll be tough teams out there, obviously Sarsfields and obviously Blackrock, but Emo Kelly look like a serious team this year in the Cork Championship. But a lot of games to get through, obviously, but wait till October, November, Séamus, when the All-Ireland kicks off, and then the importance will start to ramp up.
Yeah, no, that's it. Right now, it's just quantity. There's so many games. It's hard to keep up with, but it will continue to take shape. And put it in the comments below, guys, if you have tuned into this episode. What was your highlights of the weekend, and how are things progressing in your individual county championships? Do let us know. Of course, the Rudders 38. Let us know about Tommy Conroy's hat-trick for the Neil. And then Gavin O'Reilly, let us know about the upcoming clash between Boyle and Castlereagh this weekend in the preliminary quarterfinal. Going to be a good game there in Roscommon. Let me know, and then I will be able to cover it more in depth. But that is another episode wrapped up here in the books, guys. Another Monday evening episode brought to you from the west of Ireland. Thank you very much for tuning in. Gormila Mahagwith, thanks you to Matthew again for joining me one more time. Until the next one, guys, take care.